I'll try and find my way back. You got it.
Thank you.
All right. Good evening and welcome. You are tuned in and watching the Zone Blitz. We are the weekly webcast produced by NFL Female, www.nflfemale.com. Be sure to jump on our website and check out all the latest and greatest articles by all of our wonderful women who write about and cover the teams that they love so well. I am Sharona. I am the official NFL fan reporter for NFL Female, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host Sonja, the official fan reporter for the Detroit Lions. Sonja, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Well, we are fantastic. I think we're having a little bit of technical difficulties. It wouldn't be the Zone Blitz if we didn't have at least a few technical. We weren't giggling when we came on either. I'm kind of disappointed in that. We're usually giggling when we come on air, but you know what? That's all right. We're going to talk.
I think we'll make up for it.
We'll make up for it. We're going to talk some NFC West with some of the women who cover the teams in the NFC West. So I'll let Sonja bring. We're going to get Kasey in here. We'll let Sonja bring everybody in.
Okay. First, we have with us is Dayna. She is our Seahawks reporter, and she also hosts the Wednesday night with NFL Female Blog Talk Radio. So we are super excited to have Miss Dayna just putting on her Seahawks 12 cap tonight. So welcome, Dayna.
Thank you, guys. You're right. I'm excited to get to talk about the Seahawks, and you know, it's not often, since we cover all 32 teams on the podcast, that I get to do that. So I'm super excited. And Daryl's decided to join me. I hope y'all don't mind. He's just going to hang out over my shoulder.
That's okay. That's fine.
Okay.
We like that.
We're going to blame Daryl completely for the echo that we're experiencing.
Absolutely.
And
all
then
Daryl's fault.
All Daryl. And then also tonight I'm super duper excited to introduce to all our fan reporter for the St. Louis Rams, Kasey. This is her first time on the show, so welcome everybody.
Welcome,
Kasey.
Thank you.
So we are super happy to have you on and ready to talk some Rams, because I don't think we've ever really gotten somebody to talk Rams.
We haven't talked much Rams here.
I love to talk about the Rams. They're my favorite subject.
Well, we're happy.
That's why we got you on.
Yeah, and I have a bit of history with Jeff Fisher, so we might have to talk a little bit about Jeff Fisher. Wink, wink, nod, nod.
Just a little bit. All right, so I'm super excited. So let's go ahead and get started. So let's see. We'll start with Kasey, since you are our guest and the first time here. So tell us about the Rams. Tell us about the 2014 season.
The 2014 season, well, we finished less than 500, which certainly isn't where we wanted to be, but we saw the defense grow so much under their first year with Greg Williams, so that was very exciting.
Mm-hmm.
We were without a quarterback, or a
Again.
starting quarterback. Again, yeah. I think we took care of that for this upcoming season, so I'm really happy about that.
Yeah,
Are you happy about the trade? Were you ready to see Sam Bradford go?
I am very happy about the trade. I was a huge Bradford fan with him coming out of college, but he just never really lived up to it past his rookie year. So, yeah, I'm glad Nick Foles is coming. When I heard that rumor, you don't want to believe it, because they talked so much about keeping Sam Bradford, and he was going to lead the team.
He was the guy.
He was the guy. That's what they said. But then the rumor came out, and then you started paying more attention, and then Nick Foles is traded for. And it was a terrible day. I was at work all day. I didn't even know that this trade happened until like 4:30 in the afternoon. I had a conference that evening. I couldn't read anything. I didn't know any contract.
Uh-oh. We might have lost Kasey again. You know, we'll maybe talk about this in our little final hot topic segment. One of the things that, and I think I tweeted about this one day this week, it's so hard to trust these reports anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It is. Mm-hmm. It is. Dayna, did you get fooled earlier this week by a report?
Oh my God, yes I did. I put it out there too, and I didn't even try and hide that I had gotten duped. I'm sorry they put an extra T in Sports Center and I missed it. Really that's what it came down to. But I got fooled because I was so wrapped up in NCAA basketball that I thought I had missed some news that they had traded Megatron to Philly, which I looked at my son and I said, this cannot be real. And so that's why I asked, is it a false report? And everyone's like, yes, Dayna, there's 2 T's in center. Oh, well,
yeah.
These Twitter accounts, these false accounts, it's almost mean because you're scrolling through so much information.
It's crazy.
And then that just comes across your face, your screen, and the picture's right, and you see Sports Center, but you don't notice the extra T. It's just not fair. That, and I think that we've talked about this before, but everyone is so concerned about being first. They're not worried about being right.
Yeah.
They don't want to throw the information
so
out
irritating.
there. Yeah, it's like horseshoes. It's like, I'm going to throw it out there and see where it lands. And, oh, my God, I might get one right, at some point. But it's really too bad because that really does, as evolved as NFL fans are with their teams, it really can mess with the psyche, especially for some of these teams who need help and are waiting for their team to do something, and then they hear maybe they didn't, and then they come find out they didn't, and it's just disappointing.
Yeah. I mean, there's those lame fake accounts which irritate me, and they need to go away. These kids playing in their parents' basement need to quit doing that stuff. But also there are, and I'll just cite an example. Locally, there's a lot of talk about whether or not the Tennessee Titans are up for sale, are going to be sold, blah, 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 blah. And Jason LaCamfora came out with a report which was and I like him. I don't mean to pick on him at all. But it was laughable because it was a trade. There was going to be a trade of ownership between the Browns and the Titans. Which is never going to happen. The owners are never going to approve it. Right.
Just horseshoes.
Yeah, exactly. And then it gets out there, and then the NFL has become a cycle of producing content.
Yep. And so now, like, if I see something tweeted out, and if it isn't one of my local beat writer type guys,
I try to.
I disregard it and
or wait.
And then I wait, and then I go to maybe the local newspaper website
for other sources.
Right. Exactly. Because I got duped like that too.
That just happened in Seattle. There was that rumor right before the Cowboys signed Greg Hardy that Michael Bennett had asked for a trade to Atlanta. It came out of a Dallas reporter. Not anyone from Seattle, not anyone nationally, not anyone from Atlanta, Dallas. And it just seemed so fishy to me. I just threw it out there. I'm like, I'm not going to believe it until I either hear it out of the Seahawks' mouth or hear it out of, Michael Bennett, because why would a Dallas reporter, and I'm not picking on that reporter, I have a feeling he was fed some bad information since Greg Hardy and Michael Bennett have the same agents, which seems to get things a little interesting.
You always know these reports are agent-fed.
Yes.
And so agent the reporter, I'm sure he was just saying exactly what he was told, and he reiterated it, but at the same time, it made no sense to me. And so just like you gals, I'm just going to wait. I'm going to wait until it's confirmed by a couple of people before I believe it.
There have been a lot of times with things happening recently that I'll say I'm not going to believe it until I see the picture or until there's an official something released, because things are just so fast and furious right now that you just don't know what to believe.
It was crazy. Back when NFL free agency was just starting and it was bang, bang, bang. See, I was having to write about it and post updates for Pro Player Insiders, and it was just crazy. I would start something and just hold it, waiting for confirmation. So I had like a series of things that I was holding, not knowing if it was going, and it just created unnecessary work.
For everybody.
Exactly.
It's really crazy.
But I think it's just, the world that we live in now. And,
So Kasey, back to Greg Williams and Jeff Fisher. Are you happy with that duo? And you got a new offensive coordinator. What do you think about him?
I'm impressed. I'm impressed that, well, it's kind of Fisher's way of doing things to promote from within, so I'm impressed. And then I read his bio, the Frank Mcknelly bio, and I like his leadership style, the way that he's a leader of men and kind of leads by example, so to speak. And
hopefully he'll
open
open up that offense and get Tavin Austin and some of the other guys involved.
Stedman Bailey is so
love Stedman.
underrated on our team.
I love
Tavon
him.
runs, lateral. He needs to run up the field, and Stedman was actually chosen behind Tavon and kind of picked up when we were scouting Tavon. So I'm excited. I think Stedman doesn't get the credit that he deserves, so I hope.
I completely agree. I said both out of West Virginia. I said that when they both got drafted, and Stedman was drafted in the 4th round.
Yes.
I said that he would be a better pro NFL wide receiver than Tavin Austin.
I agree. And to watch him in training camp, he had an amazing camp, but he had that 4-game suspension that ended up being 2, I think, and he flew back on a Friday night and played on the Sunday when the league changed their
policy.
Mm-hmm. So he's got more heart and more passion. And
very exciting. Kenny Britt has really seemed to straighten up and is doing very well there.
Kenny Britt is doing well. Just signed his new deal and. Glad to see him coming back. He's the leader that the Rams need.
That's
it's
good
like
to hear.
Tennessee Titans West.
Absolutely.
Right?
It is.
Because you guys have Jared Cook too.
Yes. Yes.
And I'm trying. And the defensive end. Oh, I forget his. Kasey. He's a rotational guy. Anyway.
Yeah.
I remember his name.
That guy.
Yeah, that guy. And then they just got one of my players.
William Kasey. Is that his name? Anyway.
William Hayes. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that guy.
The one that got elected with the New York game.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, Libby says hi.
Happy belated puppy day.
Yes, she always has to make an appearance.
That's right.
And then you guys just picked up our tackle, Mr. Nick Fairley. Good luck with him.
I'm excited. I'm excited.
You should be. And you know what? I think that if he decides that he wants to play, I mean, heck, at the press conference, he was like a toothpick. I'm like, you didn't want to lose the weight in Detroit, but wow, you get down to St. Louis and you're showing that you want to play. And I really think that that's good for him, and I hope that he really does come out and play to his potential. You know what I'm saying? I really
think sometimes you just need a change of scenery, and I think we've seen that with
I agree.
With people. I mean, Kenny Britt is a prime example. I'll never forget the first day of training camp when he's there wearing that 81 jersey, and I approached him, and I told him, I said, I'm not very proud that you have this jersey on because you have a history, and those are big shoes to fill. And he would come up to me every day at camp, and he would say a little bit, and I'm like, not yet. And he's like, before training camp is over, I'll make you a fan. And he did.
Aww.
He won me over.
Cute.
But
that's good.
He was always good with fans here. Now, he was a knucklehead a lot of times, but he was good with the fans.
Yeah. And then we have a lot of guys that are good with the fans, so it's nice to see.
That's good. Yeah, St. Louis, that's a good team. I'm still interested in the quarterback situation to see how Mr. Nick Foles is going to do, and hopefully he'll be able to stay healthy the entire year and things like that. But yeah, hopefully it's a situation to keep an eye on for sure.
It'll be interesting. The Rams haven't had a quarterback for a really long time, and when you look at the market, and I remember talking to a friend of mine who's retired from the league now, and I just flippantly said, let's just go buy one, find one. He's like, okay, find one on the market that is able to be, that's available and you can get. And
yeah, teams tend to hang on to those guys.
Mm-hmm. They do.
Right. And then after he said it, I started looking and thinking, and I'm like, wow, they're really hard to come by. And I really didn't want us to draft a rookie. Yeah, I'll drink the Mariota Kool-Aid, but I just don't want a rookie. I just don't want to. I want a veteran guy out there that can maybe try to take us to the playoffs with all the uncertainty that we have after 2015. The reality is this could be my last training camp.
I didn't want to ask about that, but you brought it up. So, what about all those rumors?
I have some pretty good sources and a lot of articles that I read, and I don't really comment much on it because they are rumors at this point, but with the owners meeting this week and Kraft, I hate New England and I don't like Kraft, but some of the comments that he made are very ambiguous. That St. Louis should be a football city, but he never said that these Rams will stay in St. Louis. And you hear rumors that Oakland might come to St. Louis or that Jacksonville might come to St. Louis. So I don't always think that everybody's focus is the same as my focus. I want to keep these Rams in St. Louis. I want these guys, this roster, this team here, not Oakland or Jacksonville. To start over again. This is 20 years in the making. And
it just breaks my heart to think about a city losing a team like that. I'm sorry, you guys. My puppy's batting me on the back. Pay attention to me.
Aw, Lippy.
So to think about this being probably my last training camp with the Rams in St. Louis.
What if the Rams did move, but then another team did come to St. Louis? Would you support that team or follow the Rams?
I would because I'm a football fan. I will still support these guys, this team, wherever they go because I'm so invested in this group of men,
Mm-hmm.
It's a challenge every day, and someone asks every day, what about the new stadium? What about the Rams moving? And I don't know the answers. I don't know the discussion. Does it look like they're probably going to leave? Yes. Stan Kroenke clearly doesn't want to be here. It is what it is.
He is the wild card in this whole thing, and it does look like he wants to do that.
The funny thing is that the move
of the day, those owners are all together.
The funny thing about the Rams moving to LA is it really does affect the entire league, or the entire NFC West, because the talk is that if the Rams stay in St. Louis and they decide to move both San Diego and Oakland to LA, one of us is going to have to leave the NFC West. They cannot have two teams in the same division in the same city. And so, as a Seahawks fan, I have no interest in St. Louis staying in St. Louis. I want them to go to LA because it will obviously be the Seahawks that would bump back to the AFC West, which would be fine. It's just they've already had to move so many times. At the same time, I love having the Rams in St. Louis so I can go to those games. They're so close to me since I live in Kansas City. And actually, for the NFL, that makes more sense because then you have the AFC West. If they were to move St. Louis to the AFC West, it'd be an I-70 corridor fight every single time they played each other. So you've got Denver, Kansas City, and St. Louis all right in a row. So the logistics of this is really interesting because it could affect a lot of different
Yes, it could.
not just St. Louis.
And
the realignment issue is
interesting. That's the part that I don't necessarily pay attention to because I'm so invested in this
Absolutely,
team
yeah.
that it potentially affects so much more than just where the Rams play after 2015. There's a lot more involved in it, and that's the part that gets so muddy and so messy, and that depending on who you listen to or which articles you read, you get something different. So to be able to speak about it, I always tell people I'm not part of the discussion, so I know as much as everybody else knows as far as the conversations, but I don't know. I don't think any of us know until
it happens.
It's official.
Yeah, exactly. You just got to take it one day at a time, and not a fun wait, but
it's not, no. And I'm going to enjoy every moment of this training camp and this off season and this season coming up. And
yeah, I don't blame you at all. I think that's exactly what I would do, and I really hope that everything works out and that nobody loses, no city loses their team. It does sound like Oakland's made some progress getting their new stadium. So we'll see. We talked about the Oakland-San Diego situation, and I actually had a chance to talk to Charlie Garner, who played running back for the Oakland Raiders, and we talked about whether that stadium sharing situation would work, because the Chargers and the Raiders fan base, they hate each other. And he didn't think that it was workable either. So
yeah.
So we'll see.
Lots of indecision.
Well, it's going to be decided quickly, though, because it sounds like, especially after the reports coming out of the owners' meeting, that this is going to happen, and it's going to happen over the next year. So they're going to have to find, the people willing to shuffle sooner than later. And then you have Philip Rivers down there in San Diego, which is funny because we're talking about the AFC West so much. But, you have Philip Rivers down there in San Diego who says he has no interest in moving at all, and that he will not, he'll play one more year of his contract and be done. And it was, by some people, it was like, because he wants to spend 10, he wants to spend 7+ children. And then the other part of it was that to help with the threat of do not move the San Diego Chargers. So I think that there's going to be a lot of drama within that, and I feel horrible for all three of those fan bases because it's all so up in the air.
Yeah.
It's just like anything. It's the uncertainty. If someone would just put on, I say this every day at work, just put on your big boy pants and say what it's going to be, and then let us figure it out and move forward from there.
Right.
But it's the uncertainty and the back and forth, and if you read, and some reporters that I read will say, don't panic yet, nothing's been decided, and this is still in the works, and that is still in the works, and then you read something else, and it's something totally different, and, they're all trusted sources, but it's just like anything, it's your perception of what you're reading or what you're hearing.
Right.
Because, some people were talking about Kraft's comments being in support of keeping the Rams in St. Louis. I never once thought that he said anything supportive of keeping the Rams in St. Louis. He said something about St. Louis continuing to be an NFL city or whatever that comment was, but nothing ever said to keep the Rams in St. Louis. And Stan Kroenke wants to be in LA. He's going to put a bunch of his own money up and make this incredible stadium that's for two teams or whatever it is that he's trying to do. But
looks like she froze.
Ugh.
Darn it. Oh, well. Did we lose Sharona, too?
No, I'm just I was waiting to see if she came back. But it's sad. It makes me sad.
It does, because you don't want to lose your franchise. You know what I mean? You don't want to lose your team. That's your team.
And this guy's going to come across, and it's going to be viewed as evil Stan, whatever his name is, who tore the heart out of a bunch of fans and moved it. And we saw it there are people in Houston who I legitimately think walk across Bud Adams' grave and spit on it because he moved the Houston Oilers from Houston to Tennessee. I mean, there's palpable hate there for for him, and course, Nashville benefited from it because they got this professional football team. But you don't think about the cost associated, what it does to a city and to a fan base by.
Oh my, yeah. Last year when we went to the Lions and Redskins game, Greg and I had ventured out into Baltimore and we went to a bar, and my God, we got held up, not like held up, but we talked to a Baltimore Ravens fan or a Baltimore Colts fan, and my God, he almost cried. And this guy was probably like in his 60s, and he almost cried till this day still about that. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's
real.
Heartbreaking.
Yay, she's back.
Yeah, Kasey's back. All right, we've talked about the Rams. We got to talk about the Seahawks and the Cardinals, and we're gonna finish with our I don't know what to call it. We're gonna have a moment of silence for the San Francisco 49ers.
That's a great idea.
Just put it that way. Rest in peace, San Francisco 49ers, and your dreams of a championship
for 2015, because it ain't
long time.
Yeah.
All right,
definitely.
Dayna, let's get you in here and let you talk about your Seahawks.
Put on that 12 hat.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We've had a kind of interesting off season.
Yeah.
Girl, I tell you what.
Yeah.
I remember at work a couple weeks ago, I was like, wait, did this happen for real?
Yeah.
Yeah, that trade came out of nowhere.
Exactly, and I think that's what it's such a Seahawks thing to do. It's such a John Snyder thing to do, that this stuff just kind of comes out of nowhere. And the interesting thing is, I was home that day, and I was keeping up with everything, and I knew it was coming down to the wire before free agency started, and we'd actually see some movement. And that 10 minutes before, when they said, well, it sounds like the Saints might be looking into trading, Graham, and then 2 minutes later, they're like, oh, no, he's traded. Like, it was that fast. And that was just what was so exciting. And I would love to say it was a shock. It was a shock that it was Jimmy Graham. I knew we needed a tight end. I knew that was a position of need with the Seahawks, that we needed to look into that, even though Luke Wilson and Cooper Helfett had been playing very well. And to be honest with you, I was even pretty impressed with Tony Moeaki, who we picked up from the Chiefs mid-season. I was pretty impressed with the things that he had contributed when he played. Zach Miller had been out for a long time. Second year in a row that injury really kept him from, being a huge impact on the team. And so we just knew Wilson and Helfett are great. They're not starters. They're not total game changers. Although Luke Wilson really came in the last couple of games of the season. He really did. And I think that was because the Seahawks didn't play with a strong tight end presence, so they were able to kind of sneak him in on some stuff, and it really worked. Had they tried to do that for a whole season, they would have, picked up on it and in that, other teams and that sort of thing. So I think that was the surprise element, was somewhat of an effect there. But so I knew that tight end was something they were going to have to look at. I really expected the Seahawks to lean towards Cameron. I thought that was made more sense since he had played for Pete Carroll at USC. And so that's what I kept thinking, that's where he was going to end up. And then, there was the whole Julius Thomas thing, and were the Seahawks in on that? Apparently now they never really were. They were leaning more towards Cameron until the Saints basically said, who do you want? We have to clear out. Who do you want? And John Snyder in his interview said, well, I just swung for the fences. And I said, well, I don't know. You want to give me Jimmy Graham? He said, sure. What do you want for, And they had a lot of interest in Max Unger, our center. Max was a huge part of our team, fantastic leader. He will be sorely missed. But he had some injury issues, but his leadership qualities are outstanding. He was, one of the biggest leaders on that team, and I think the Saints really need that. I mean, Drew Brees is fantastic, but they need just some good, strong leaders in that team. So I think that'll be really helpful. And I give kudos to the Saints for doing what they're doing. They're letting players go that they have to in order to address their true need, which is defense. So I think that's understandable. Otherwise, the Seahawks have been pretty set. They obviously had a fantastic last couple of years. And, you know, people ask me about the Super Bowl. I will tell you that I was over that the next day because my motto really was, you know, 30 other teams would have killed to have their season come down to the last play of the Super Bowl. So you can't even be mad about it.
Right.
You know, yes, you can be mad about the play calling. Yes, you can do all that. But really, it was a fantastic season for them. Their biggest free agent signing, though, in my opinion, wasn't even a free agent. It was Marshawn Lynch. They had not figured out a way to make Marshawn Lynch happy. This team would not be the same. They would not be the same on the field. They wouldn't be the same off the field. So to me, as long as they locked Marshawn Lynch down for another couple of years, everything else was icing. I just didn't realize how good the icing was going to be.
Yeah, dude, you
So it
guys
was
got.
really pretty impressive and pretty exciting. You know, and they brought in, sadly we lost Byron Maxwell. He was the other corner. He played across from Richard Sherman. Although I think for the most part, most Seahawks fans saw that coming. There's a couple of the local podcasters, media guys, called the LOB effect. It's like when these guys who played on the Seattle defense come up for free agency, they're going to be overpaid by another team. And kudos to them. Go get your money. I'm all go get your money. This is too short, you know. So I'm really excited for Byron Maxwell. He's really a strong player. Now, will he be as strong without Cam Chancellor and Earl Thomas over his shoulder? We will have to wait and see. But he definitely can hold his own, and he was really wanted, so he got lots of money for it. So good for him. But you know, they brought in Kerry Williams, and we'll see how he fits in. Brought back Will Blackman, who had been on the Seahawks, and then went to the Jags for a couple of years, and now
And
has come
played
back
very well
again.
for the Jags.
He did, other than an injury bug. Yeah, he got injured last season, but otherwise he's a solid player, and he really knows the system. He gets what Pete Carroll is doing, you know. Obviously, we also lost Quinn. Dan Quinn is now the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons, and they could have not gotten a better head coach. When he came back to Seattle after Gus Bradley left for the Jags, because, you know, Dan Quinn had been a coach for us before, left to go coach at the college level, and then was brought back after Gus left. They didn't expect him to be there for too long. They knew he was head coach. They knew that he would get that opportunity, and I think Atlanta's really lucky to have him.
Yeah, I think that he's going to do very well there. You know, the Seahawks, you mentioned free agency and the Legion of Boom and all that. Obviously, they have to be cognizant of the fact that they've got a big contract that they've got to work out pretty soon. Now, what do you think that Russell will? There's a lot of talk about a guaranteed contract for the first time. Is he going to get that?
All guaranteed.
Yeah. You know, they kind of hinted earlier, right after the Super Bowl, I think is the first time it was brought up, that they were thinking outside of the box for Russell Wilson. And that can be taken 1,000 different ways. But that, to me, just shows that they're trying to figure out a way to work the system to help the entire team. And if you're going to do that with a quarterback, Russell Wilson's the guy to do it. The loyalty level in him, is amazing. And he is not going to do something that is going to be to the detriment of the team. Nothing against the Ravens and Joe Flacco, but that contract that he took, more power to him, he got all the money, but it was a detriment to his team. And it really showed the repercussions of that later, especially the year after they won their Super Bowl, and they didn't have any money to keep anybody. Everyone had to go. So, you know, I think that they're really looking at a way to have the cap one way around. That is guaranteed money. You take, you know, maybe lesser of the cap hits, but you get more guaranteed money. The other rumor that floats around is that he might not get a new contract this year, that they might work it that he plays for what he, you know, is, you know, assigned for this year with extra bonuses or whatever, and then they will redo his contract so that he'll play out his rookie contract. At the same time, that's not super logical to me, because I think it would be better for them to redo that contract now than if they turn around and Russell Wilson gets them to a third Super Bowl in a row, then any health helpfulness might be out the window at that point because you have to pay the kid even more. So I think it'll be
And no
interesting.
one can afford him after that.
No.
Well, I think
right.
it would be very unfair to Russell Wilson, too,
I do
because
too.
Right.
the flip side of that is he could get injured, and then what happens?
Yep, exactly.
He's never ever rewarded for what he's already done.
Right, and I think that's
any
where
quarterback in the league that deserves it, it's him.
Right now, it kind of seems to. I mean, he's playing for less than $1 million a year. I mean, now that doesn't
His
count.
backups were making more than him.
Yeah, I know, right?
Good old Travaris Jackson, God love him. But yeah, so it's kind of interesting. But at the same time, I really think that it's not going to be anything we've seen before. Obviously, in baseball, all guaranteed contracts are real common, and that's who his agent is. He's based, a baseball agent. And Russell played baseball. So, it just seems to kind of all make sense that there's going to be something very odd. He's going to be paid very handsomely for what he's done, but to the business model of NFL, it's going to look real strange. And I'm kind of excited to see how it turns out. But we have this great guy that he writes for Field Goals, which is an SB Nation site. His name is Davis Sue, and he is fantastic with cap numbers. And as the cap stands right now, they can redo Bobby Wagner, Russell Wilson, and J.R. Sweezy and still have a little room under the cap for the next couple of years. So it could be this team is solid for the next 3+ years, which is exciting as a fan because that's what you want to see. That's the Green Bay model, is to keep your guys and pay them and keep that consistency. So that's really exciting for Seahawks fans we're kind of used to some chaos. That's the way it used to be all the time. So it's really exciting.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be interesting to see. Russell Wilson got drafted by a Major League Baseball team.
Yeah, the Rangers.
He could hang it up and maybe go play, and he's not going to, but I'm just saying theoretically he could. So, yeah.
Doesn't he do some
There's more money there,
with them
maybe.
anyway?
I'm sorry, what?
Doesn't he do some spring training with them anyway?
He does. He says it's to keep in shape. And, one of the reasons why he's so good coming out of the pocket, and the same with Colin Kaepernick, I know we're going to talk about San Francisco later, but it's the same theory because Colin played baseball too, is the fact they have that sliding training. They have that baseball training that comes in very handy for them. I always, whenever I watch a Washington game and RG3's playing, I'm like, get him a baseball coach. Like, I just scream at the television so he can learn how to slide instead of go head first.
True.
It is. I would love that.
Yeah.
I would love to see that.
But,
Of course, it may not be RG3 in Washington if you believe the latest rumors. They might want Mariota.
Yeah, I cannot wait to see who finally ends up with Mariota because I think like 10 teams have been linked to him now. So
It's
going to be amazing.
He would start for them on day one, and I think that was released today or something. And
That was Ken Wisenhunt, the Titans head coach.
Right. He's like, sorry, Mettenberger, just so you know.
Yeah, screw you, Mettenberger. Thanks for your service last year. Sorry for getting you killed behind our shitty offensive line.
That's right. It's true. It's so true. So, yeah.
I'd be interested to see if Bradford stays
Pardon
in
my
Philadelphia.
French.
I don't think Bradford will stay in Philadelphia.
No, he's not staying
I
in
think
Philadelphia.
Chip
I think
Kelly
that was
used him
just
as a
total
bargaining
trade
tool,
bait.
too.
Total trade bait.
See, I don't know.
Yes.
I really don't think they would have done that huge
don't
presser
either.
if they
Why-
were not going to keep him for at least a year.
Why
They would
need a
not have
middleman? Why just not do it?
Exactly. It made no sense.
We'll see.
Yeah,
Chip
it's gonna
Kelly's
be
a
fun.
mad genius.
I
We'll
was
see.
about
He's
to
got
say,
maybe
Chip Kelly's doing some weird.
some plan. He's,
Chip
cooking
Kelly
up
reminds me
there.
of Kevin Costner in Draft Day, where he thinks it's all over, and then he makes that last-minute deal, and all the pieces fall into place. And that's all I think about when I think of Chip Kelly is that movie and how you think it's over, and then all this strategizing happens, and it's like, good Lord.
But see, well, I won't even get into it.
So,
Yeah.
I think he's crazy.
Yeah, let's talk. Let's talk about the Cardinals real quick, and then we're gonna get to you 49ers. Don't worry. Okay, Stephanie couldn't join us tonight. Let's talk about the Cardinals. Carson Palmer has to stay healthy for them, or that team, they've got a good team, they've got a good solid team, but they really don't have a backup, like a lot of teams. They don't have a backup plan at quarterback.
Mm-mm.
I think.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say I think it's obviously time to kind of address that. Yes, they do have a backup quarterbacks because we've seen them and they've done pretty decently, I guess.
Not bad.
But I still think they do have to, because God bless Carson Palmer, but I don't think he's going to take them to the next level, honestly.
I don't think that I think he's going to be like Sam Bradford. It's going to be hard to come back after 2 knees. Those are 2 at their age and.
Was it the same ACL? It was 2. He's 2 different. Was it the same? Okay, see, that's just.
Same. I thought he and Sam both injured the same.
I thought it was the same too.
I can't remember either.
I think with Arizona, the interesting thing is that they have all the pieces, and that's why Bruce Arians has gotten Coach of the Year a couple years in a row. Or should have. Sorry, nothing against your Michael Vera, but so I think that the interesting thing that's happening in Arizona is have it. It's all there on paper. We talk about that a lot on the podcast. It's like, well, on paper they look shiny because it's fantastic. But getting them all the pieces to work at the same time, because honestly, Carson Palmer looked really good at the beginning of last season.
He really did.
Very well. Lindley came in, was okay. They have all these solid quarterbacks. I'm not going to say great, but, I was really impressed with Carson Palmer. But at the same time, they have an amazing offensive line. Their defense is fantastic. They have all these pieces. They just can't get them to all hit at the exact same time. They did add Lamar Woodley. Interesting choice. Lamar Woodley. I like Lamar Woodley. It's an interesting one. But they got rid of Darnell Dockett. Now, granted, Dockett wasn't there last season because he was injured, but he was part of the grit of that team. I mean, if you follow Darnell Dockett on Twitter, he's got lots of grit.
He's a beast.
Really.
Good God. Watching him
but,
work out.
I think that they have, if they had lost Larry Fitzgerald on top of it, which I think we all pretty much knew wasn't going to happen. Larry wants to be a Cardinal until he retires, but I think that, the quarterback questions would have been a bigger deal, even though, Larry hasn't had huge numbers the last few seasons. He's a calming force on that team. But I don't know. It's like they're real hit or miss, and obviously they've had 2 great seasons, but when it comes down to it at the end, granted, it wasn't quite their fault in the 2013 season because, the 49ers and the Seahawks both did so well. So even though Cardinals had won 10 games, they didn't make the playoffs. Which is a whole nother conversation. But last season they came in, but I think they were just too battered at that point. And so it'll be interesting to see how they rebound from that if Carson Palmer can come back. Really I think, and this is no offense to the Rams or definitely, to the Niners or in any way, but really they'll be the team to be chasing the Seahawks at this point.
I think so,
and who knows? Next year, it could be, God, I don't hope it happens, knock on wood it doesn't, but, it could be the injury bug that hits the Seahawks, or it could be the Rams. You just never know.
I mean, your secondary guys, what are they going to do? Like, Mr. Sherman, is he going to have surgery? What's happening? I mean...
He doesn't, the interesting thing is that that's just it. In the Super Bowl, that's one thing that makes Seahawks fans feel better, is it was the Legion of Broken that played that Super Bowl. I mean, Sherman had his arm all screwed up. Earl's shoulder had been separated. Earl Thomas, Cam had been playing hurt all season. Maxwell went out, and then
Bobby Wagner was hurt too.
Yeah, everyone was so beat up, and yet they still got there. And so that, to us, makes us feel a little better that it came down to the last play of the Super Bowl, because I really don't think that Tom Brady would have had the game he had they been playing at full force. But that's just a very biased opinion of mine. But it looks like Sherman is not going to need surgery. They thought he was going to have Tommy John surgery. They said that because he's not a pitcher and doesn't have that constant wear and tear on his elbow, that really rehab should be able to fix it. Earl Thomas had surgery on his shoulder. And he says that, and Pete Carroll said they should be both, should be good to go for training camp. Cam already is feeling up to 100%. And so, people are getting better. The big question for the defense right now is probably Brandon Meebane, who is one of my favorites. I love myself some Brandon Meebane, and Tony McDaniel. Whether they come back, not come back, they want new contracts. So we'll have to see how that kind of plays out. But right now, the defense looks like it should be good and strong, much like we were used to at the beginning of last season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Cardinals are the biggest competition right now to the Seahawks, winning the division and being the top dog in the division. Before 2014, I would have said it was the Niners, but let's go ahead and talk about the Niners. Has a team had a worst 18 months time span than them? I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
No.
Starting with the Jim Harbaugh thing, and then it's
I'm
just all
still
falling
surprised
apart.
that he left. I am still surprised that Jim Harbaugh left.
I don't know that he had much of a choice, to be quite honest with you.
I don't either.
But I'm still surprised that he left.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised that they ran him off.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing against Jim Tomsula, but he's going to be a lot of fun. This is what it comes down to.
I feel bad for that guy.
Dear
Every time I see his name, though, I think about Temecula, and let's meet me in Temecula, and let's fight. Because I can't get those two names straight. I'm like, Temecula, I'm like, oh, stop it.
Oh, goodness.
As a Seahawks fan, we like to pick on the 49ers fans, but it's almost not even fun anymore. I just feel
so
bad for that team.
I know.
Oh,
I know.
Apart.
If that wasn't bad enough, and Colin Kaepernick forgot how to throw the ball and do a lot of other things too. Vernon Davis, bless his heart. Patrick Willis got injured and then retired, and then what we were going to talk about in our last segment anyway, Chris Borland. He laid a shocker on everybody.
He did.
He did.
And again, I'll always say that, he had to watch out for his health. He had to.
Sure.
But some part of me is thinking, because, from what his parents have said, that he just kind of wanted to go out and play football just to be like, haha, Mom and Dad, I can do this. I did this. You know what I'm saying? And so that he wanted to, but then he also, started having health issues. But I still kind of think there was a, haha, Mom and Dad, I did this.
Maybe. What's interesting, his father came out and said that he didn't let his kids play football until high school. So Chris Borland didn't play football until he was a freshman in high school. I don't know how they do their school systems there. So Wisconsin guy, and so he played in high school, and then he did have and he had an injury that wasn't football related, as I recall.
Maybe. I don't remember. I know he had 2 concussions, but they were a long time ago.
He had a possible one in training camp last year that it never got diagnosed, but that's what got him to thinking. So he had 2 confirmed, and then the one that really got him to thinking about retiring. After Chris Borland made his announcement, and I forget the gentleman's name, but they lost another linebacker to an ACL.
Yep.
So,
Oh, gosh, yeah. Jim Harbaugh tweeted about that, too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really, really sad. Thankfully, Navarro Bowman is healthy again, but they're really snake bit at linebacker, so I guess we know what they're going to be looking for.
Yeah, it's interesting to me that as soon as Jim leaves, or the evil Harbaugh, as I like to call him, but he,
Harbaugh.
These things kind of started to fall, and so you had to wonder, did people, were they playing hard for him? Did they want to play for him, and now the draw wasn't there? I really think Patrick Willis, when he was one of my favorite players to watch in football.
Me too.
It's going to break my heart not to see him on the field, but at the same time in his press conference, which was heartbreaking. He said, most football players he knew couldn't even play a pickup game of basketball because their bodies were so beat. And you know what? So I get it. And I really think
Most
that
retired guys I know are like that.
Right, absolutely. And I think I'm really interested to see what happens once Jim Trotter from ESPN, he's writing a book about Junior Seau. And I really think that once that book comes out and we get a little more details, how many more players are going to start thinking, I've made this money, but now what? I don't want to end up like that. I don't want this to happen. And the NFL can put as many safety protocols as they want in place. It's a violent sport. You can't get away from it to a certain
You're
extent.
smashing heads all the time. You know that does damage.
Right, absolutely. So I think it'll be real interesting to see what happens over the next couple of years. There were articles coming out saying, oh, the NFL's running scared. I don't think so, because there's always going to be someone who is willing to put their body at risk to play. I don't think that that's going to be a concern. But some of these really good players, they know they have a life after football. And
Players with options might, but there are a lot of players that don't have those options.
Exactly. So the NFL's not going anywhere in any way, shape, or form, but it will make some of those players take pause. And you know what? More power to them if that's what they want to do.
Yep.
Yeah, I can't fault Chris Borland for his decision
Not at all.
all.
I could never fault anybody for taking their money, and I can't fault anybody for being concerned about their health.
Let's talk about that. Chris Borland gave back 75% of his signing bonus because he did retire early. Was that the right move or not? Kasey, let's get you in here, honey. Let you weigh in on this.
Was it the right move, giving his bonus back or retiring?
Either way. Or both.
Yeah, I think like you said, you can't fault anyone for looking out for themselves. I think all too often what we see, and I have a lot of friends who have played in the league, all too often what we see is they're playing for the wrong reasons, usually monetary. And then statistics show that there's a huge percent, I can't quote the percent, but a huge percent that are broke within 5 years after not playing anymore, like broke. And if they're beat up to the extent that a lot of them are, your knee, if we're not hitting your heads, we're taking out your knees, your shoulders, we're going to see more arthritis and all of that in the future. What kind of life do you have after that, and what do you look to do? So
Oh, no.
Oh, no. But then she did bring up a point though. I mean, like, even if you're injured so much, your knees, you hurt, you have pain, you can't sit down at a job for 8 hours, like, how is that affecting your work life? And so, I mean, that's got to be
Not to mention you don't have transferable job skills to be able to do a lot of those jobs that would let you sit down or what have you. So, yeah, it's I don't think that football's not going away, but I do think that we're going to continue to see more and hopefully better informed discussions about what it means and what life after football should be for these guys.
I hope so. I mean, because it's got to be ready.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of college requirements. I think that and I know it doesn't make sense because some people, some players just go to college so that they can play, and I get that. At the same time, I mean, there was that one college player, I can't remember who it was now, that said, why do I have to go to class? I don't learn football in class. And okay,
Ohio State player.
Yeah,
Cordell Jones.
Cordell Jones.
And so,
I quarterback who led them to a national championship.
Yeah,
that's true.
So I guess he really doesn't come to play school.
But at the same time, I think that it's, I think that there should be some requirements. There should be some years because, to be quite honest with you, they have to be able to find a job after football. Football does not last forever unless you can go into coaching, which a lot of them don't. And so, I don't know. But at the same time, that's the mom in me who I'm like, get a skill.
I agree with that, but our colleges don't care about that. Look at UNC and the cheating scandal there. These guys aren't being told to get an education. They're being told to get their butt in the training room, to get their butt on the practice field, to get in the playbook. They're being told that they're in college to play football. not to
then
get
pay
an
them.
education. And
Right.
so, you know, you and I can sit here and tell them that all they want, but the people who matter, the coaches
I
and
know.
all of that, are telling them the exact opposite.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I'm excited because I'm putting together an article for April that I'm interviewing one of our local high school football coaches here, and I'm asking him about whether or not, you know, any of this is going to have some impact, you know, all these things that are going on, and what they're telling high school students going into, you know, into the college level and beyond. And because I think it has to start almost as early as that. You have to tell these kids the minute they're playing football, it's like, you know how you know, broke your ankle? Well, that would be the end of your NFL career, so you got to think, you know, ahead. But you're right, the people who matter, especially at the college level, they're not getting that message across because they don't care. Their bonus depends on whether or not they win, not whether or not they have a graduation record. And so
Exactly.
it's just the way the system is set up. And so you can't really fault the guys who are smart enough to think further than that for getting out while they can.
I think where the real fight is, and we've talked about this before. It's been a while since we've had Will on. We need to get Will Carroll back on.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I did have Will Carroll on my podcast last week, and we talked about Chris Borland and this situation. Where the real fight is going to be with the mamas and papas who see this. The Chris Borland's father who see this and who are like, you know what, I want you to play golf or some other sport where I can enjoy watching you play possibly for a long time. I know that you're going to be able to play with your kids when you get to be my age. And when I say my age, I mean they're the parents' age.
Yes. Exactly.
The thing of it is, though, as long as the NFL players make the money that they play, and make the money that they make, and the NFL itself is making the money that it is, that'll just, you know, fall on.
It'll be a draw. It'll always be a draw.
Yeah, it'll fall on deaf ears for a certain, you know, amount of people.
And it's not just the money; it's the prestige and the allure associated with, you know, being a player in the National Football League.
Exactly. Exactly.
All right, we're probably not going to get Kasey back in, but the hour always goes by so fast anyway. I know, right? So this was a great discussion. We're really happy that Dayna and Kasey were able to join us. So Dayna, tell everybody out there where they can find you.
Well, you can always find me at NFLfemale.com. I'm the Seahawks writer for them, and then also the host of the weekly podcast. Now, I will tell you that right now we're on a bit of a hiatus. During the off season, we've had a couple pop-up shows, but I'm working on something where hopefully we'll be able to do small, short interviews with everyone, 15 minutes or so, and be able to release them daily. That's coming up here pretty soon, and then as soon as the draft hits, we'll be back.
It's just around the corner.
Yeah, I know. It's like 6 weeks away, so it's really exciting. And then you can always find me on Twitter at DaynaOG. Not hard to find. So.
Yeah, you can find Kasey on Twitter too. I forget her Twitter address, but we'll be tweeting that out. Kasey is our official fan reporter for the St. Louis Rams. We thank her for joining us as well.
That was so nice. Can't wait to have her back on.
So great. She did an awesome job.
She did.
Sonja?
She did very well. And I am Sonja. I am the official fan reporter for the Detroit Lions for NFL Female. You can find me on NFL Female. You can also find me on Twitter at mom2 3RN. You can also find me writing for A Good Sports Hang, Me and All the Guys. So, yeah, I always like to see that, Me and All the Guys. Because I am, I think, one of the lone chicks there, but still, you can find me there writing.
We're going to have one of the guys on the show soon.
Yes, we are. We're going to have Vier on, so that'll be a lot of fun. I am so excited, too. Yes, we're going to have a little
long.
It has been so long. So, yeah, we're going to get Vier on in a couple weeks. So, yeah, so make sure you check that out, and that's about it. So, Sharona, Dayna, thanks for coming on.
Yes,
and
Dayna,
Kasey,
thanks
for coming on too. Yeah.
And you can also find Sonja. I'm going to hopefully entice her back on my new podcast, Sharona Unfiltered. She was my co-host last Wednesday. It was a great, great show. And
so much fun.
Thank you for joining me. I want you to come back tomorrow morning. Simone Bridges, who writes about and covers the NBA for Black Sports Online, and she's got a new gig covering it for one of the local TV stations. And apologies to her, I forget which one it is, but she's going to join me, and we're going to be talking about. We talk about a lot of different stuff: sports, entertainment, politics. But we're going to have Joel Corey from CBS Sports to talk about NFL free agency and some cap issues. So stay tuned in for that. And then, of course, on Friday, Game Over with Vashti and Sharona. You can find me, of course, at NFL Female, www.nflfemale.com. Shout out to Liz. And also at Pro Player Insiders. Check out my latest articles there. I'm actually doing a lot of different things for them, so stay tuned in for that. But check out the latest article that I did on new Buffalo Bills tight end Charles Clay. I got a chance to talk to him today. Great guy. He's very excited to be a Bill, so check out that article. We'll be back next week talking with AFC West. Is that what it is? No, AFC South. That's right. I got to put my Titans cap back on. So
Yes.
Stay tuned in for that. We'll be back next week. Have a pleasant evening, and we'll see you next Tuesday.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in.